My name is Mark Doyle, and I am the founder and developer for MailJive, team-based email archive and search. Let's talk about the information you have in your organization. You have a variety of communication tools and platforms, but you always use email. But let me ask you this. Have you ever encountered a situation where you're trying to find a valuable information contained in an email that was sent or received by one of your employees? That person's on vacation or short-term disability, or they no longer work with the company. You ever had that? Worse yet, what if those emails are to and from your customers? One of the biggest information hurdles you have in your organization is employee absence and turnover. How do you easily find information that was sent to someone that is no longer with the company? You can get your employees to have access to those employees' email archives, or you can hope that your employees are forwarding on information. Likewise, how does a new person get access to all the information that was shared before their arrival? Again, you have to rely on your employees to forward on the information that was already sent. This isn't always feasible because some of the information may be irrelevant or incorrect, or it may just result in information overload. So I'm sure you know what you should be doing right now. You're backing up your email software, your email accounts, individual email accounts. You're taking those and moving them offsite as part of your disaster recovery plan. And then you're encouraging your employees to share critical information. But do you know what information is within each of those email archives? Do you know how to get access to it, or do your employees know how to get access to it? So once you get information in the hands of your employees, they're searching for information. There's another challenge because email is a snapshot of what is known at a given time. When you're searching through the emails, you see what is known at that time, but you don't see how that adapts to what you know now or even in the future. It lacks the conversation or insight around those emails. It's a stale archive. This is where MailJive comes in. It is a tool for sharing and finding information from email across an entire team, regardless of who received it or when. So let's talk about what MailJive does. First of all, MailJive provides knowledge retention. This means the information spans the tenure of your employees, regardless of whether they currently work there, they left 6 months ago, or they joined 6 months from now. The information is stored and readily accessible within your organization's MailJive database. MailJive provides selective email archival. MailJive can retrieve all information from a specified email account, say marketing@acme.com, or your users can cherry pick the information that is shared with MailJive, say by CCing important emails to marketing archive@acme.com. This eliminates the noise that traditional email search can yield. MailJive provides real-time on-demand search. It takes into consideration the date sent, the subject, the body, and even comments and tags from your users. Also, it takes into consideration when your employees have marked email as no longer accurate or valid. MailJive provides secure team access. With the granular permissions across the organization, within the organization across the various teams, users can only access the information they are currently authorized to access. Once they are removed from a team, they no longer have access to that information. Now, this is the screen that you're probably most interested in. How does it actually make money? MailJive is a software as a service platform with 3 plans, each providing cost breaks at higher demand. The idea here is that you're being charged for the actively monitored email accounts, a lesser amount for the archived email accounts that you still want searchable, all with a monthly fee. What this means for you is that I'm not charging you, or you're not being charged for the number of teams you have, the number of users you have, or even the number of documents you're storing. Now, another revenue option is on-premise installation. So under the covers, the technology I use to develop MailJive and on which it runs in the cloud is prevalent in many large organizations. Along that same theme, there's the opportunity for consulting for on-site implementation and configuration, as well as customization with ongoing licensing and maintenance fees. And then I'll touch on these briefly. As far as what the future is right now, it's currently a website that's in beta. I will be integrating Slack. A lot of information is shared in Slack, so the ability to pull the information from your Slack channels into MailJive and make them searchable, as well as the ability to search MailJive directly from Slack via slash commands, integrating Microsoft Exchange email server to round out our enterprise offering, social media integration so we can track what your company's sharing, analyzing email attachments for searchable content like Word documents, PDFs, and spreadsheets, and finally building the mobile app so that you can conveniently search your MailJive organization and teams. And that, my friends, is MailJive.
Thank you for that presentation. So being in business for a long time myself and having an issue with the exact issue, it seems the biggest part of the challenge is when people leave or are terminated.
Yes.
The question I have is, if somebody's using a company email account, that data is part of is accessible by the company as their own. The company owns, not the employee. Do you ever come across any issues that are secure issues, that privacy issues as far as emails go?
Well, not yet because it's still in beta, so there's still kinks to be worked out. I have talked through that question because email there's a lot of personal information in email. So you have two options. One, you can only forward it on, you can have a designated email archive that's being retrieved into MailJive, and so you're only pushing the important information. After information gets into MailJive, your users, an admin or whatever, can go in and remove stuff that is not pertinent to whatever's being included for that team. So there is an issue. It's really how it's set up and configured and utilized.
Right. And so my question would be, is there a overall admin who gets access to it first before it goes to the masses, which would help that? So one person would only be have access to that private information potentially, or
not yet.
Can you filter it?
No, it's designed to be real time. So right now you have the email archive option where you go restore it and you see it, and you still see everything that was in that email archive, personal or not.
Okay.
And so if you're sharing those email archives with your employees, they see that anyway. So that's a risk there that you already have. In this case, the information is getting to MailJive and it's searchable immediately. You don't have to restore any archives, and you immediately get access to search it. However, you still have the same variety of information that may have come from an email account, if it's not being utilized specific ways.
So my question would be about, again, privacy concerns. So, for example, if your system is set up in such a way that it's real time and everything is getting dumped onto the share, then how do you handle email communication that may be related to performance issues? Perhaps somebody is, notifying HR that they are going out on maternity leave, or they have some other personal problems in their family. Now, how do you handle that?
Again, I think it boils down. There may be safeguards I need to put in place. Again, this is very early.
I see.
But a lot of it depends on how you configure it. So if you are archiving individual accounts and making those searchable, you do have that risk of like a boss that is no longer there. All the reviews, the performance reviews, are then accessible to everyone that has access to that team. Right, that is an issue. However, if you use say a department-based email account or a department-based archive account where your employees are just forwarding the critical information to that, and then that is being retrieved, that eliminates the noise, and it also reduces the threat of personal information being in there. Another thing that we do, because not all companies control the email accounts that your employees are using, right? They may be using a Google account here, or Gmail here, or Yahoo there. You don't know. So if you are retrieving from those disparate sources, you don't have to get everything. You can say, I just want to get this subfolder that has pertinent information about this team. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple ways to handle that. I know it doesn't completely answer the privacy question, but I'm trying to get it there to be as useful for information that disappears before it actually disappears.
I understand, and I appreciate that you're still in beta. I'm happy to talk to you about some safeguards. I have some ideas about that.
Okay.
I do think that from a priority level, at least for me, I'm a negotiator,
Okay.
and I know that legal is always contacting me about document retention. So I
Right.
think if you're able to do something that at least focuses on the docs or subfolders that the legal team needs for document retention, that would really help when people do exit the company.
Right.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
When I see email retention, I have to admit that I get hives because that used to be my former life. I used to work with Smarsh and Redtail.
Okay.
How do you compare to them? Because, you know, with their system, they have the archiving and you're able to pull down information and on and on and on.
There is some overlap with current competitors. So, by and large, the large majority of the archiving solutions are email account-based archives. It's not an intermingled collection of email that's focused on team access to that. It also it's a website and mobile app, so it'll bypass the archive requirements to get access to that information. But even if the archive accounts, they're searchable immediately, again, this is still the intermingled approach with the ability. It's not the pristine journal of email archive that you're used to with like Barracuda. It's a journal. It's a pristine history. This is, it stores the base information, but then it grows as you comment on, tag, and share across various teams. Does that answer your question? Not really.
Kinda. I guess what I'm trying to understand is how are you different? I'm still trying to understand your business model, and I guess that's why I'm comparing you to those two.
Sure. I can't answer that for sure.
Hey, Mark, you got a very elegant logo over there. I really like that.
Thank you.
Would you elaborate who are your nearest competitors and how you are different from them?
So right now, Barracuda is one of the industry leaders that I know of for email archiving. They're not a direct competitor. They provide the archiving function. I'm taking that in a slightly different direction. You've got things like HubSpot, which are you take emails and then you're deriving actions from those. But again, this is merely just, it's a live repository of information that you're providing access, you're retaining information when people leave, but also granting new individuals access. So it's the just on-demand search rather than the strict archive function of the competitors.
Question back here. So does this sit on the mail server then? Is this something that's it's in the cloud, but you still have your mail server?
Right. You have your mail server. This does not replace it. It is not directly integrated yet until I introduce the exchange stuff. What it does is retrieves from when you set up an organization. Let's say you sign up for MailJive. You create your organization. You set up the various teams like marketing, IT, corporate, HR, whatever teams you're going to use. You add all the users that are going to have access, and you decide which users are going to have access to the teams. And then you configure the email accounts that are actually going to be retrieved. So you can set up Gmail accounts, Office 365, and then traditional IMAP and POP3 accounts. Just a wide variety of types of email. And so it communicates with those via the same protocols that any mail client uses, retrieve that information, dumps it in your into the repository, and then whenever that account is exposed to the various teams, those teams then have access to view the information that has been retrieved from those various accounts. So it doesn't sit on the mail server, it's just retrieving from it.
And
First of all, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
I've worked in companies which are rather large and some that are rather small, and you can tell people as much as you want, don't use your work email for personal things.
They do.
And they do it anyway. So is this like some sort of AI to kind of filter that out? Or how, I mean, because you could have, oh yes, I'm going to finish this on the 13th, and oh, by the way, blah, 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 insert something personal that you don't want somebody to know here. You know, in the same work email. I've seen it happen.
Right. I think you're always going to have that. Even on professional emails, you'll still have an element of personal interjection. My wife was interviewing with a pretty prominent company, and they forwarded on an email that had the interview time as well as the entire chain of conversation about her phone screen and first round of interview. Oops. But that is now a document within the realm of HR, and everyone sees that, and now the interviewee has seen it. I don't really know how to get around that. I do know, so I go on a nerd side here. So this is all hosted in Microsoft Azure. Azure gives us lots of cloud cool stuff, right? The databases, the web servers, all this other stuff. One of the things they have is machine learning, which I've been reading about, and so it's kind of like AI, but you're programming it to learn to do certain things. And so this isn't on the immediate horizon. This is one of those things I'd like to figure out how to do, but using machine learning to prune out the things that are not directly pertaining to a team's function. I don't know how I'm going to train it to do that. I need a large data set for it to learn, but I think I could get it there. That's not going to be anytime soon. But
Okay, Mark, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it. We've got probably more questions at the as we conclude here, but we have do appreciate what you presented, and it's a hard subject, as we all know, because all of us who've been in the business world, we understand the privacy issues, and it's a hurdle that you will have to overcome.
yeah,
So, thank you very much, though.
absolutely.